Indiana Disability History Project, Indiana Institute on Disability and Community, Indiana University, Remembering Justin Dart's nationwide ADA tour, Nancy Griffin.
Well, the National Council on Disability, at that time led by Lex Frieden, was looking at all of these different issues and how we were having to just basically, put the finger in the dike to try to fix one here and one there, and came out with a report whose name escapes me at the moment, but I'm sure you would know what it is, in 1988, that basically was a call to action across a broad array of issues, but it was focused on civil rights as this is what this is. These are civil rights issues. And the next year, they generated another report. Justin took that first document and got in his little red pickup truck with his wife and took off and drove across this country and visited people with disabilities in every single state on his personal dime, in their own time. And I got to be in one of those meetings in Oklahoma. He took that document with him and he said, "Is this it? Are we on the right track?" And of course, they were. So the next year, the National Council published what was the precursor of the ADA. It was a call for legislation. And Lex and Justin and the good folks there really sat down and started writing what would become the ADA. And Justin and his wife, Yoshiko, took off in their little red pickup truck again and did another 50-state tour. And went around meeting with folks with disabilities and family members all over this country and selling us on, we can do this. We have power. We can change the way our lives are. We can do this. And he was so compelling. And you just couldn't say no to Justin.
Christine Dahlberg.
Justin Dart was really something else. He was so humble, and so he gave away the credit for everything. He had his trademark hat, and one of the things he used to do before he came to any state or any venue at all, he would say, "Okay, tell me the people who have been the disability advocates. Who's been the ones that I should mention?" And we say, "Oh, Justin, you don't have to mention me. You don't have to mention." No. I want to mention every single person that you can think of that's been important to this effort. And so every time he would talk, he would start out by thanking dozens of people that are from the local and statewide that had been involved in disability advocacy. And he did that. That was kind of a trademark of his. And even in the written documentation, I don't know if you've seen some of the covers and the addendums to some of the things that were published during the passage of the ADA. There's a book with President Bush signing the ADA, and in the back you can see state by state all of the advocates. Those are the ones that Justin, and plus more, that Justin used to thank at every venue that he went within a state. He would thank all those people plus anybody else that somebody gave him a list of. And that was one thing that I thought was just so charming that he did that, and he didn't want any credit for himself. He wanted to give away the credit.
Another thing about Justin that I learned during this whole process was that he was determined that he was going to find a way to get to the president on this, the first President Bush. And he didn't have the right connections to do that because he was a Democrat. But he knew the man who became the president's chief of staff personally. And so Justin thought, maybe if I can get to him, I can get to the president. So this started way back, even before the legislation was introduced, but he was obviously already working on it. He started asking him to go to dinner with him to discuss various issues affecting people with disabilities. And he would purposely take him to some nice place in Washington somewhere, and it wouldn't be accessible. Justin used a wheelchair. So this giant of a man would have to lift Justin and carry him into the restaurant and then go back and get his wheelchair and carry it into the restaurant. And Justin managed never to find an accessible restaurant in Washington, D.C., and they had dinner at least once a month for a year and a half. So it finally got down to crunch time, and the ADA was really about to go to the president's desk. Justin went back and he said, Do we have to have dinner again? The chief of staff said no, the president will sign the bill.
Music, Redwood Trail. Recorded at the 2009 Indiana Governor's Council for People with Disabilities Conference. Produced by Indiana Institute on Disability and Community, Center for Health Equity, funded in part by the Indiana Governor's Council for People with Disabilities. Copyright 2018, the Trustees of Indiana University.